I'm gonna be honest, this is in my bulk filming session. I'm running out of new things for me to say. So tell me down below what's new for you. I apologize. So, since I don't have much to say about what's new, we're going to get straight into the video. This video is going to be about legal research and writing. It's going to be all over the place because I don't have much of a plan. I'll tell you when this video was planned. This video was initially, the idea for it initially happened in March. And I'm actually debating on if I want to do this video because it's about legal research and writing, but I'm debating on if I want to do it because I'm looking at some other ideas that I have. You know what, I'm just gonna do it. So I have my talking points. This video might make very little sense and I apologize, but it's about legal research and writing. So what is legal research and writing, or LRW? It's legal research and writing. Basically, the class is supposed to teach you how to write a brief and a memo. It's done in your 1L year. It's supposed to teach you how to properly research things. So it's supposed to teach you how to use a library, how to use like the indexing system and the blue books and green books and all that fun stuff. And it's supposed to help you learn how to properly write legally. I'll say this, I appreciated the class, but I learned how to write better memos and stuff outside of the class because the memo that they have you write it has so much stuff in it that you don't need. It, like, the memo is just kind of overkill. The brief is good, but the memo is just kind of like, and the thing is, you don't get any help, which, like, in the real world, that's not the case. You're gonna get help on your memos. You're going to get help when you ask. You don't have to be, like, so stuck in your own world like they want you to be, because they basically set you up to fail. Because, like, the thing is, I did not do well on my memo because I missed an issue, which was my biggest fear. And honestly, if I was allowed to ask for help, I wouldn't have missed the issue. So yeah, because in the actual legal world, you can ask for help. So yeah, I'm a bit salty about that. You learn how to write and stuff, but, like, thing is, for us, the class started in the summer. So, like, our first legal research and writing class was like 3 days before school because it was during orientation, and we had to do a grammar quiz, basically a grammar test to see where we were, and if we didn't pass it by the time school started, we had to retake it until we passed it. It was ridiculous. And the thing is, some of the stuff, like, I don't even know if the teacher looked for it because my teacher was I have many issues with my legal research and writing teacher, but, like, I don't even remember if I'm supposed to have two spaces after a period. Like, it's little stuff like that I still don't know if it's important because my teacher didn't emphasize it, and if I got it wrong, it wasn't corrected. So that tells you that. So I talked about the memo, talked about the brief, then we have research. There's two main ways to research. You can go to a library and actually look in the books, which can be more helpful at points. I had to do that when I had to look at books basically when I was doing my final paper, because we had to do, because legal research and writing gives you 2 types of credits, and the second type of credit you have to actually you have to take another writing class to satisfy it. And in that second writing class, I had to use the books more than the internet because of the topic of my paper. Anyways, so you're gonna use the books in your library at some point. It might not be during your 1L year because during that it's basically just looking at black letter law, which you can do on the legal search engines, and there's like 5 of them There's Lexis, Westlaw, Bloomberg, and I think there's one other. Typically, most people use Westlaw or Lexis. The Lexis is in some trouble right now. If you are active on law Twitter, you understand what I'm talking about. The main reason why I used Lexis in law school was because of free printing. Because we had to pay for printing, and Lexis provided free printing for my school, so that was like a no-brainer. Also, their paper was hole punched, which was really nice for the memo and the brief, because it was already hole punched. You could just stick it in your binder and be done. But for Westlaw, Lexis also doesn't just log you out like Westlaw does, because Westlaw will just log you out. But Westlaw and Lexis are pretty comparable otherwise. It's just what you prefer. I've never used Bloomberg, so I can't talk to you about that. But those are the three main search engines. And I will say that after law school, you don't get the free access to them, because usually law schools will at least give you Westlaw and Lexis. But afterwards, you don't get that free access, so you have to pay for it, which is, gotta love the legal industry. So in terms of like legal writing, is it useful? It teaches you a lot, but like not in the way that's actually worth for practice, except for the brief, maybe. But in terms of like the memo and stuff, the memo that you write for your legal research and writing class is not going to look like the memos that you will write in reality. Like, I wrote a legal research and writing memo my first summer, and the response I got was, "This is a really well written memo, but you didn't need all this." And I was like, okay, so take that as you will. It's very formal. The reality is, it's likely not going to happen. They want you to do all this stuff that is, and they want you to do it in such a way, and it's just like, that's not how practice actually is. Does it help for the bar exam? Not really. Because the way you write for the bar exam is very different from how you write for legal research and writing, because the only time it's ever really going to be useful isn't on the multi-state essays or the Texas essays, which don't exist anymore because Texas bar exam doesn't exist, but it isn't on those essays, because that is literally like regurgitate the black letter law that you have memorized in your brain and apply it to the facts. That's really all those essays want. But the only time it would ever become slightly useful is for the MPT. However, the MPT gives you the law you need, and that's the only law you're allowed to use. And most of the time, the format isn't exactly the same as what you learned. They'll give you the example of the format on the bar exam that they want you to utilize. So, I mean, it kind of helps you learn how to apply all that stuff, but it's not, they don't even have, on the bar exam, they don't even have you like do blue book citations. They have you basically say like the case name, and then you can just like refer to like the first name in the case, and that's basically it, which isn't correct blue book citations. I still don't know how to do proper blue book citations, which is fun, because I didn't do law review, and I'm glad I didn't. They teach you the IRAC, which is issue, rule, application, conclusion, which my professor, I think, mentioned it like twice in class, but then she went off on her own thing, which was very frustrating. But on the bar exam, while that's what they want, that's also not what they want. They want basically conclusion, rule, analysis, conclusion. So yeah. And then comes the bell curve. The bell curve with writing is so BS. So I'll put it in, like, first of all, I want to say my 1L section was very much all the smart kids and me, because I came in at a disadvantage to the school because my LSAT score was low, but my GPA was high, so I came in at a disadvantage. So they put me in a section with all the not the high people, but all like the very high scorers. So I was screwed from the beginning, but my my legal research and writing, that curve shrinks from the 100 people in your section, or however many people it is, to 20, maybe 40 if your legal research and writing professor has 2 classes. That curve is so unfair. And part of the reason why I did so well when I studied abroad is because the curve wasn't applied. Because the class only had like 20 people, because the smaller the curve, the more skewed it's going to be and the more unfair it's going to be, because the bell curve is so unfair. And I've heard TAs for legal research and writing be like, no, everybody falls on this curve. And I'm like, but is it fair? No. They can defend it till they're blue, but it's still not fair. And my legal research and writing professor hated my class. She would say that to her other classes. Her other class. She hated us, despite the fact that we had a best brief winner in our class. Because with the briefs, you submit them all and you can get best brief. Yeah, and the thing is, like, the professor submits the brief, so not even all the briefs get submitted. It's only the ones that they view as the best. And let me tell you, if I was in a different class, my brief would have been fine. But because of the class I was in, which had 4 finalists for best brief and the best brief winner, and those people who did well still didn't like my professor. Yeah, before she would come into class, we would all be sitting in and complaining about her because we didn't like her. Like, she gave us examples and stuff, and that was fine, but like, I went to her office hours one day because I was like, I need help, and this is what I need help with, and I want you to go with me and write out an example of this with me. And she pulled up a past example and showed it to me. And I was like, this isn't helping me. Looking at it isn't helping me, because I regurgitate this and you still tell me it's wrong. I want you to write one out with me. And she wouldn't do that. And it frustrated me. And she was just a very hard professor. And like I said, I got to read another person's brief. My brief was better than theirs. They said it themselves. And I can guarantee they got a better grade on their brief than I did. Yeah, so there's that. So I've already talked about, so in my last video, if it's going to be my last video, I don't know what order I'm going to put these in, but in the video where I talk about Board of Advocates, I mentioned a moot court competition for 1Ls. Basically, it's based off your brief. If your school does this, your school might not. Mine did. Where we would write the brief, we would get it back. I don't think we would get the grade. I don't think we got the grade back yet. But we got the brief graded back. But I don't think we got like the actual letter grade for the class yet. And then we partnered with someone. I partnered with someone in a different section who did the opposite side, because you are assigned a side to write your brief for, because you can't do a neutral brief. You have to argue. Briefs are argumentative. And so I partnered with someone who did the opposite side from me. So we didn't have to do as much work when we actually did the moot court competition, because we had both sides, so we could argue either side, whatever side we were for. And then we had the other sides, our potential arguments already sorted out. So, and then we did we only did 1 round. It used to be a full competition at my school, and then they stopped doing that because it took a lot of time out from students, and they just kind of would start to give up. So, yeah. Also, the attorneys that judged that competition, at least the room I was in, were drunk. So they also didn't tell us who won best speaker for the room, which was very frustrating. So yeah. Tips and tricks for legal writing. There aren't really any that I can give because I did so bad in the class, but I blame that on my teacher, really. Just do your best and try not to go down rabbit holes. Also, don't cheat. Every single year I was in law school, and even before, there would be cheating scandals with the brief and the memo. Don't do that. Just don't. Yeah, I'll say this. Here's a story about cheating that will tell you how unfair law schools are. When I was a 2L, I found out that when I was a 1L, my 3L, like two of my 3L academic success mentors, which were students that were in like the top percentage of the class, cheated on the brief, got away with it because the dad of one of the people paid off the school, because the dad worked in one of the big firms that supported a lot of what the school did. Not to mention, the firm that this dad worked for wrote the bench brief, and the bench brief is basically what they use for the moot court competition for the judges to be able to like ask questions and stuff to help them through, to like help them like understand what's going on. And so this girl got the bench brief from her dad and wrote the thing and then shared it around with her friends. Never got punished for it. Like, and the thing is that like attitude perpetuates through certain people in the top of the class, where they will share only their stuff. If you find yourself in that position, turn them in. It's not fun. It doesn't make things fair. Like, law school already isn't fair to quite a few people. Don't perpetuate that unfairness. So yeah, that's my tip. If you find out someone's cheating, report them. Doesn't matter if they're your best friend or not. Report them. My final thoughts. I hated legal research and writing. I still do, and it's mainly because my teacher was crap. Sorry, that's just the truth. That's all I got for you today. I hope you have a wonderful day, week, month, year, whatever it is for you. If you liked this video, like it, subscribe if you want more. I hope you want more after this. Well, I hope you want more after this, but subscribe if you want more from me. What's the rest of my thing? Oh yeah, comment down below if you have any questions, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!